Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's Theological Leftovers. Today, I want to share with you a verse from a psalm that I was reading, Psalm 27, and the verse goes like this: "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Of whom shall I fear? Of whom shall I be afraid?" Right? This verse is amazing. It very succinctly, as small as it addresses all of our fears, and then it doesn't just address them, it takes them away. It's an amazing little verse. The first thing it does is it addresses our fear of the dark. Now, why are we afraid of the dark? Well, maybe you don't use a nightlight. Maybe you never have. Maybe that's not something that you're afraid of. But it's not just talking about nighttime. It's talking about all those things out of our control, all of those things in regards to the future that we cannot see. And we certainly have worry and anxieties and fears about those things that are outside of our control. Those things that are in the future that we can't predict. That sort of darkness scares us quite a bit, right? And in that regard, in response to that fear that we have as human beings, what this psalm says is, "The Lord is my light." Right? So how does he address my fear of the darkness? He brings light. If I were in a dark room, I wouldn't be in a dark room anymore because light has entered in. That's what Jesus has done. The Lord is my light, which means I can see what is around me for what it really is. I can see what is coming. Now, there's, I guess, at least two kinds of fear. There's the one that we've addressed, the fear of the unknown. But then there is also the fear of what I do see in front of me, right? Bringing light to the situation, bringing light into the world does not necessarily, even into my own life, does not necessarily take away my fear or yours, right? In fact, bringing light to the situation forces me to face reality. I find that some of the things that I was afraid of were not my imagination. There are things in the dark that would like to harm me. There are scary things that I can now see before me. In fact, there may be more than I even thought. It may be worse than my imagination. In some ways, that's probably true, right? So our fear isn't really taken away by the news that the Lord is my light. But the fact that the Lord brings light into my life means that I know what's in front of me, right? I know what needs to be dealt with. And the truth is, what needs to be dealt with is more than I can handle. And I have lots of reason to be afraid if it's up to me to handle these things. Because here's what's been lurking in the darkness of this world, the things that really would seek to do me harm: sin, death, and the devil. These are the enemies. These are those things that are lurking in the darkness of the world and would seek to get me, right? These are the things that need to be dealt with. And not just one of them, but all of them. And I honestly cannot even go face to face, head to head with just one of these things. So do I have reason to be afraid? I guess I would if the psalm said, "The Lord is my light, whom shall I fear?" But it said more than that, didn't it? It said, "The Lord is my light and my salvation, whom shall I fear?" The Lord is my salvation. Jesus has come and done exactly what was prophesied in Daniel 9:24. Daniel 9:24 says that he will put an end to sin, right? Jesus has annulled sin. He has put an end to sin. That enemy no longer has any power over me because I have forgiveness. And death has been left in the grave that was intended by the world and by the devil for Jesus. He rose. He is risen. And he did that for us. He is the first fruits of those from the dead. He has risen so that we can have life eternal. It's death that was left in the grave, right? So sin has been dealt with. Death has been dealt with. And the devil, with all of his accusations against me, has been effectively gagged and bound. He has no voice in heaven. Instead, Jesus has ascended to the right hand of the Father, and he intercedes for me. He speaks on my behalf as my brother, as the one who loved me so much that he was willing to die for my sins and to pay that punishment. Right? So those are the scary things. They're lurking in this dark world. Sin, death, the devil, those are the enemies, and they have been dealt with. The Lord is my light. He shows me the reality of things, and he is my salvation. Of whom shall I fear? What is there left to be afraid of? Thanks be to God. Thanks be to Jesus. Nothing. Nothing. God bless you all. God bless your week. Don't be afraid.